Welcome to the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay. This is your positive path for spiritual living.
With that, they shall remain nameless, but they're sitting in 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth row on this side. Last night turned to me after I said something, I can't even remember what I said, and said, you know, you're really funny, except when you tell jokes at church. So, lucky enough, actually a congregant emailed me a joke last night, so if you don't like it, it's her fault. But so here goes. Why did the Buddhist coroner get fired? Why? He kept marking the cause of death as birth. I'm sorry you're not in tune with Buddhist humor. I'm sorry. But I thought it was really appropriate for today because I've been really pondering on life, beginning and end of life. And, you know, in a very cheeky way, today's service was called Sprint or Marathon because there was a marathon going on. But I didn't realize when we thought of that title weeks ago, how appropriate it would be for me to go through the experience of thinking about what I really believe about it. Is life meant to be a sprint? Is it meant to be a marathon? What is life about? You know, as we begin this year, we're sort of in that energy of newness and new possibilities. What is being birthed? What new life am I going to be stepping into? And for me, the last couple of months have actually been experienced also through many people in our community experiencing transitions of their loved ones and the end of life of their loved ones. Also some people that I love very deeply in serious illness. And so the questions about life and what it means were really in me to explore. And as much as I have been in this energy of newness and new life and all the possibilities that are being birthed moment by moment, infinite possibilities, it also made me realize that there is in this world of time and space a finite opportunity for us to step into those opportunities. Infinite possibilities, finite opportunities for us to step into them. And Elizabeth Kubler-Ross says, it's only when we truly know and understand that we have a limited time on earth and that we have in no way of knowing when our time is up that we begin to live each day to the fullest as if it is the only one that we had. So at the end of this journey, I'm thinking about whether I would turn around and be in gratitude or if there would be moments of regret. As I think about this moment-to-moment journey, I'm thinking about the ways in which I'm sort of living in these huge sprints. Anybody experience life as a sprint, going from one point to another point? But maybe we've also experienced it as a marathon, right? Where we can slow down, we can create a different pace for ourselves, and life allows us to do that. It's almost like there's like an ebb and flow to life where we have to choose the pace that we go in. The thing that I'm most grateful about is that regardless of the pace that we can choose, I believe we can be fully mindful and aware of the beauty of that pace. So it's not about the pace, it's about how mindful we are within that pace. And I had no idea that seize the moment was going to be the daily word for today. But I love this affirmation from Emily Cady. I am a manifestation of God, and every moment, divine life, love, wisdom, power flow into and through me. Regardless of how we are moving through life, at what pace, can we be fully aware of that truth for ourselves? Doesn't matter how fast or how slow we go. It's about the awareness of our truth, of who it is that we are. And I think that's what life is about, really getting connected to who and what we are, and then seeing how that shows up in life for us. How we live life is just as important as recognizing what life is for us. Now, Henry David Thoreau actually says, if a man does not keep pace with his companions, perhaps it is because he hears a different drummer. Let him step to the music which he hears, however measured or far away. I had an experience. Some of you have already actually commented on my vacation I took 2 weeks ago. I went on a cruise. You could tell probably from my tan and from the fact that I found a few things that I had lost later in 2018. But I was sitting across the table from somebody, and we were talking about life and the things that we're involved with, and I was, just sharing some of my experiences, the things that I'm grateful for. And this gentleman just looks straight into my eye after I'm saying all these wonderful things that I'm doing and I'm part of, and says, why can't you sit still? I was like, all right, well, I just met you. But actually, and in that moment, actually, I was aware enough to actually say, for me, it's not about the amount of things that I'm doing. Those things are bringing me joy. Those things are bringing me gratitude. Those things are coming from within me, expressing outwardly, and I feel blessed to be able to do all those things. I also, in that moment and a little bit later, realized that I had gotten a little defensive. And so when I got a little defensive, there was an opportunity for me to look at, everything I just responded to him, how true is that? How comfortable am I with the pace of my life? How comfortable am I with the awareness, the mindfulness that I'm bringing to my experiences? And it was really easy on the cruise to have very mindful moments, right? On the water and feeling the coolness of the sea and the sand on my toes. It was really easy on a cruise, you can't really connect online, right? As much as you would. So I was really disconnected, and I was having experiences of really just being fully in the moment. Not thinking about the future, not thinking about the past, just in the moment, experiencing that and being surrounded by people that I love and doing that. Fast forward a week and a half later, and I'm here at Unity on the Bay, and I, knew that you guys were going to be, they were going to tell you about how quickly the move was coming, right? And all of a sudden, Reverend Chris and I and our staff ministries team are putting together the list of everything we have to do before we move. And it was all of a sudden busyness, sprint. And I had a moment of thinking, how can I bring some of that mindfulness that I experienced in that calm time? How can I cultivate that kind of experience and then bring it into the busyness of life? Because guess what? Life is going to be busy, right? Life is going to have moments of calm, right? How we interact with that really tells us how much gratitude, how much love, how much peace, how much wisdom we will experience in that moment. And so Thich Nhat Hanh actually said, many people are alive but don't touch the miracle of being alive. Think about that. In those moments, whatever pace you are setting for yourself, are you aware of the miracle of being alive? Are you aware of the miracle that is happening through you in life? It's not just you being in an experience, being in a moment. It's you bringing all that is good, all that is divine, all that is possible to that moment. Can you be fully aware of that? And so mindfulness is the opportunity for us to be that. Because mindfulness really, for me, it's really about moving from the head space into the heart space. No judgments about what's going on, just being fully centered in the opportunity of that moment to know that not only is the miracle of life that we are present to it, but that there's something great, there's something divine, there's something holy that is actually living our life. And in many ways, it becomes, rather than figuring out what pace you want for your life, allowing yourself to be paced by that presence, right? Like David Henry Thoreau says, it's that inner music, or he calls it a different drummer. The question is that different drummer coming from within us? Or are you somebody, or am I somebody at times that allows the music and the noise from outside to be what moves us, to set the pace for us. And in that moment when we allow the external, it just gets a little more difficult to be mindful. It gets a little bit more difficult to be in the moment. Now, it's not impossible, right? Like, so this morning I shared with you that I was so rushed to come talk to you about being present that I forgot my jacket, right? I wasn't fully present to what was going on. I was thinking about what was gonna take place in the morning. I was thinking about being on time. I was thinking about all those things as I wasn't fully present. And all of a sudden I noticed that I didn't have my coat. I'm like, all right, well, this is kind of funny, right? And then I just had a moment where like, well, I could be really feeling guilty about it. I was thinking, maybe I'll call somebody at home to come drop it off. And I was like, stop the judging. It is what it is. It was what it was. In this moment, what can I do? And I was like, all right, well, being present. I just thought, you know what? I'm going to take a couple of deep breaths. I'm going to meditate. I'm Ubering to work these days. So I was Ubering, so I was sitting in the back, and I just start breathing and kind of like just silencing myself. And all of a sudden, the Uber driver, who knew where I was headed, right, the address, says, oh, are you going to a church? I said, yes. Are you a pastor? I said, well, I'm the associate minister there. He goes, okay, cool. That was it. Next thing you know, I'm like, I have my eyes closed and I have to open them up because he started playing all this Christian music. But one of the songs was a song that Kelly sings here all the time about just releasing ourselves, giving ourselves up to the presence. And it was in that moment that I recognized that regardless of what pace we may have been at, regardless of past experiences, regardless of how unaware or unmindful we may have been, every moment is a new opportunity to step more deeply into it. And then when we do, it is an opportunity, not only an opportunity, actually, it just expresses around us and in us that there is some higher power, some higher presence that is living us, that is breathing us, and that is orchestrating our lives to remind us of just how beautiful it is, to remind us of how we can experience it in deeper ways. So I wanted to share with you some different, because I'm all about the practicality of things. So I wanted to share with you some of the ways in which we can cultivate mindfulness, because it is something that we can cultivate. It is something that is almost like a muscle that we can learn to use. The reason why in that moment of forgetfulness and shame and guilt about my jacket, that I was able to just take a deep breath and meditate a little bit or just breathe into the experience and move into a more mindful experience. It's just because I've had really wonderful people around me invite me into those practices. Right, Suzanne? Yeah. It's because I've had these experiences, these teachings to be able to go into my spiritual toolbox and start using. And so these are some of the ways in which I believe that we can all, and some of them I do, and some of them I am declaring in front of all of you that I will be doing more of in this year. The first one is to just do a gratitude journal. Right? Like do a gratitude journal. For those of you who are in the Absolute Abundance class, it's part of our practice after every single night to write down a few things that we are grateful for. The power in that for me is not only that we are able to review the day, the week, whatever it may be, and really harness into that gratitude. I think it's also about recognizing all of a sudden just how many things we can be grateful for and what those feelings actually are. Sometimes I believe, with emotional intelligence or without emotional intelligence, sometimes we actually feel things and don't know what we're feeling or can't name what we're feeling. And all of a sudden, being able to recognize all the things that we're grateful for, that's what gratitude feels like. That's how I experience gratitude. And so in the moment, it becomes easier and easier to move into gratitude. Another one is breathing. And I know we talk about that here all the time, right? Just take a deep breath with me. I love that noise, right, of peace. But I have to share with you something that as I was thinking about this, yes, I feel the peace. And sometimes I get really stuck in the monkey mind about how I'm supposed to be breathing, how I'm supposed to be more peaceful, how I'm supposed to be more mindful. And so all of a sudden, I'm like breathing, and I'm like, oh, wait, but I'm doing the breathing wrong. I'm not breathing deeply enough. breathing to me, the beauty of it is, yes, it brings a moment of clarity, a moment of peace, but at least for me, it makes me just aware that I'm constantly breathing when I'm not thinking about it. And it's a constant reminder that there is something that's breathing me. That actually, when I try to breathe, sometimes I mess it up. But when I just allow myself to be, allow Spirit to be through and as me, breathing just flows. It's wonderful. It's life-affirming. Meditation. How many of you love to meditate? How many of you have a meditation practice? How many of you does that meditation practice include moments of saying, oh, geez, I should meditate more? Yeah, here at Unity, we invite you to meditate, right? It's part of our service, it's part of our teachings. If you're meditating 5 minutes in a day, we invite you to do 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it may be. But to really have a meditation practice, because that is what sort of shifted things for me in the car, right? It was the more I experienced meditation, the more I recognized that it was one of the tools that I could use to bring mindfulness. That no matter what the pace in my life was, that I would be able to feel fully engaged in the moment. To engage with your senses. Just touch your fingers right now. Just feel that. I mean, isn't that amazing? Isn't it amazing to just be touching yourself and feeling all those feelings that you're feeling? Part of what brought me to mindfulness in the moment of being at that beach was the feel of the ocean, was the feel of the sand. It made me feel really alive and open to what was going on. And the more that we remind ourselves to recognize what we are sensing through our body, the more mindful we can be in the experiences. Then the next one, I do a lot of this one, so I'm pretty good at this one. People watch. How many of you thought that people watching was a spiritual practice? Perfect. We may have to shift a little bit of how we do it, though. But when I sat with it, I found that one online, actually. I was looking for other ways of being mindful and cultivating mindfulness. It made sense to me. Because the reality is that, yes, I can people watch. And I can start thinking about, oh, they're wearing this, that person's, cute, that person looks smart, whatever it may be, that person's doing this, doing that. But the reality is that the more that I actually am people watching, all of a sudden, without me even needing to shift something, the more that I just continue to people watch, the more all of a sudden I'm connecting. I mean, in that people watching is connection. And then how open we are for that connection to go to a deep place is just a matter of a decision that we make. And all of a sudden, people watching becomes a practice of connecting to the allness that is around us. All of a sudden, people watching becomes the way in which we're reminded that we are all one, that we are all interconnected, and that interconnectedness energy is flowing into our lives. As Thich Nhat Hanh says, he invites us in everything that we do, whether it's people watching, whether it's breathing, whether it's writing a journal entry, whether it's hailing an Uber, whether it's sitting in this very sanctuary, in this very auditorium. He says, to do it as if it is the axis on which the world earth revolves, slowly, evenly, without rushing toward the future to live the actual moment. Only this moment is life. As you do this, as we do this, we truly begin to recognize that life is about moments and moments and moments. And it doesn't matter what pace we set for ourselves. It doesn't matter what pace other people think we should set for ourselves, that we should slow down, that we should hurry up. It doesn't matter, because what matters is what pace feels natural to us in allowing us to truly live the experience, to truly center in gratitude, to truly know life as the miracle that it is. And so it's about not letting the past be what pushes us on the journey. It's not about the future being what pulls us on this journey. It really is about allowing that internal energy, that vibrant zeal of energy, to be what sets the pace. And in that way, we can then live life like Victoria Moran invites us to be aware that in this moment, There is plenty of time. In this moment, you are precisely as you should be. And in this moment, there is infinite possibility. That is a miracle of life that I want to live and that I invite all of us to share in. Namaste and thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. Wow, what an incredible message. Who feels filled? Say amen. Woo! Oh my God, so many things that were just so perfectly on point. I heard exactly what I needed to hear. That gratitude list, I have an app on my phone, and in case you're lazy like me, I have a gratitude list app, and I do it every evening. And Reverend Juan and all of you will be on my gratitude list this evening.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay, a spiritual community located in Miami, Florida. Unity on the Bay is supported by the generosity of its community. If you'd like to make a donation or learn more about Unity on the Bay, please visit unityonthebay.org. You can also follow Unity on the Bay on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for even more positive spiritual inspiration. Until next time, thanks for listening and many blessings. Namaste.